Typically, Antifa that you see on TV are the ones that are dressed in all black, and they go and they throw rocks or bricks and start trouble. This particular group sees themselves as armed revolutionaries. They're all about the working class, so they share this communist, anarchist ideals that the working class should run the country with no government. And they believe in total abolition of everything, including the police.
Their philosophy is anything necessary. They'll use violence, they'll use any tactics to get their way to reach their political goals.
It's not surprising that Trump would side away from the folks who are the peaceful protesters.
Yeah, I know some people hear communist to describe something and think, oh, geez, you're one of those people.
And the international communist conspiracy to sap and impurify all of our precious bodily fluids.
Unfortunately for you and today's students, there are more Marxist professors than there are conservative professors in U.S. universities. And now the younger generation prefers socialism to capitalism, despite only 16% of them being able to define socialism. Antifa are just as stupid, but you can't underestimate the power of stupid people in large groups. Antifa is short for Anti-Fascist Action, which was a group that was started in Germany in 1932 by a bunch of socialists and communists who would beat up anyone who disagreed with them. They got their name from Stalin, who used it to justify his human rights atrocities, because if you're brainwashed or communist, you would say, the name means anti-fascist. They only fight fascism. Yeah, and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, they have free elections, right? So after World War II, they and the German communists ruled over East Germany. That was the poor one that arrested all the people for wrongthink. Today, Antifa uses that same argument to beat up anyone they deem as fascist or Nazi, and they're anti-free speech. So basically, they're fascist. They usually wear masks and attack people in groups, such as old people, such as journalists, such as this construction worker, and peaceful protesters as well. They are the source of the violence at any protest for the past maybe decade or so. So one must ask themselves why university professors keep revealing themselves as supporters. This professor beat 7 people with bike locks, and he only got probation. So why does the media keep defending Antifa then? They lie saying they are fighting white supremacists. Andy No, he's a gay Vietnamese reporter, he was beaten by Antifa, and they also threw cement milkshakes at him. The left, who supposedly cares about minorities and gays like Andy, didn't give a shit. Or they lied, saying, oh, it's just a milkshake, grow up. Well, he got a brain hemorrhage. And also, you never know what's in a liquid the mouth throws. So I have to also wonder why the Minnesota Attorney General showed his support of Antifa. And then, right before the riots, people saw Antifa handing out bricks to black people in the capital of Minnesota.
Excuse me? Bitch, don't give no group of black men no brick that don't do nothing. Alright, push the fuck up.
In fact, in those riots across the country, in New York City, in Kansas City, in Dallas, in Atlanta, there's always this neat stack of bricks found in non-construction areas. And the person who first started smashing windows in Minneapolis was wearing all black with a gas mask, just like Antifa does. Cops found stashes of weapons and firebombs hidden in bushes in the riot areas. And they also had Molotov cocktails, which they used to bomb police cars. So naturally, since the media supports Antifa,
fighting hate is right. And in a clash between hate and those who oppose it are on the side of right.
The media tried to blame riots on white supremacy, with zero evidence, as usual. And they also try to convince you that Antifa itself isn't even a real group, since they're international and have no single leader.
Dealing with imaginary things like Antifa.
On the front, they would say on their website that these were defensive classes, but all the tactics they used were offensive.
Don't be that f***ing guy with the goddamn spiked brass knuckles getting photos taken of you. Police are going to be like, perfect, we can prosecute these f***ers. Look how violent they are. Right? Not that we're not, but we need to hide that. Practice things like an eye gouge. It takes very little pressure to injure someone's eyes.
These videos also detail a mafia-like initiation process at one of their HQs in Portland, and some Asian teaching them how to choke people out. And the following video reveals some of their funding sources.
We did apply for a grant from Soros at one point, just a long time ago. We actually did get a grant from them.
There's people Hillary campaign people work with use fascism.
So they have their own merch, there's a base, there's combat training, and funding. But they're not a real group. But at the same time, some armed group called Antifa is said to have seized a part of Seattle, but CNN says they're not actually armed. Except there are pictures of them with guns, and they're requesting more guns. Wow, let's see what these seditionists look like. I didn't know Antifa had tanks. It also seems this new nation they call Chaz has run out of food because the homeless took it all. So they are requesting donations in the form of soy and vegan meat substitutes. Rumor has it that this is their new flag. The amazing thing about Antifa is they are anti-colonist, they're anti-gun, anti-police, anti-borders, anti-misogyny, anti-tyranny. They prove that by stealing land, setting up borders with armed guards, only letting you in with a proper ID, and then this rapper who allegedly beats women and forces them into prostitution, he self-appoints himself as the ruler, beats up a journalist, then tweets that they've been purely peaceful. Well, minus the 300% crime spike, and threats and extortion of local business, of course.
Rapes, robberies, and all sorts of violent acts that have been occurring in the area they were not able to get to. So it is not a right for us not to be able to deploy our officers here.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like first I have to just say that I'm scared. Like I've been scared every day since Sunday, and I haven't gotten a lot of sleep because for the first time in my life in Capitol Hill, I hear gunshots every single night, and I've heard people screaming every single night outside. And they're not protest screams. I've heard protest screams, but I've also heard like screams of terror out there, and I don't know what's happening out there.
The UN even posted Antifa's flag in support, saying it's not fair to criticize these peaceful protesters. But they have since deleted the tweet like cowards. The lying New York Times describes this as a homeland for racial injustice, because I guess racial justice means an unappointed black woman beater as a leader and stealing money from white people.
It is tied with white supremacy to its very core, and being white is not okay. Cap your salaries at like $45,000 and give it out to fucking...
Oh, no, forget that. There's free food and free police, celebrates the New York Times.
Are the police of this community now. We are.
Well, as for the food, the fact that this is free is why they ran out of food on the second fucking day. I hear there will be a new edition of Marx's Manifesto to deal with this issue. But no worry, they have to maintain the communist tradition of starving themselves. This may be hard to believe, but they forego the use of the actual ground. They put cardboard on the ground, put some random dirt on the cardboard, and then they put plants in cups on the dirt. So I guess even in communism, the plants starve. And they're not even gonna grow by the time this fucking falls apart. Despite this severely retarded live-action role-playing, it is technically sedition by a group of armed communists. You wouldn't think it would be tolerated, let alone encouraged, but you're wrong. The mayor of Seattle tweeted that they're patriots and peacefully expressing a desire to build a better world. Well, I'm sure the businesses being extorted feel that way too. It's just one big fucking party, isn't it? But when white Christians take over a building in the middle of nowhere without hurting anyone, they were called terrorists. Popular saying is if the left didn't have any double standards, they have no standards at all. This is called the Gadsden flag, which says, "Don't tread on me." It's symbolizing the protection of our natural rights from government overreach. And this is Antifa's flag squashing the snake, saying, "We will tread," symbolizing the violation of your natural rights. Not that I trust these retarded tranny vegans to take over the country, but the fact that they have tacit support from government officials and media is over the line. So surely the governor will end this insurrection and help the people whose rights are being violated in his capital city.
The protesters have taken that over and not allowing people to come and go freely. And I regarding the National Guard.
Well, that's news to me.